What's shaking, everybody? Welcome to another Brand Doctor live stream. I'm your host, Henry Kaminski Jr. Today, we're going to be continuing our conversation around the NFT space. On Monday, we talked about what exactly an NFT is and what they're not. So if you want to check out that video, you could go to YouTube. It's the video right next to this one. It's part one of how to use NFTs for your business. Today, we have our man, Bob O'Neill, back in the studio, I guess, if you will. And he's going to be talking. He owns a company called MetaMode, and he is heavily entrenched in the NFT and metaverse space. And I am by no means an expert in this space, so that's why I bring him in to clarify some things and help us get some clarity as well as some insight on this new technology called NFTs. So today we're going to be focusing in on deeply, how can you use them for your business? I'll be honest with you, Bob. When this first came out, I was like, I'm not into trading art. I'm not a big art collector. That's what this seems like. So I'm out. And I just ignored it for 10 months. And then when I realized that, like, oh no, this is not just about that. It is a technology that is going to be huge in the future. So I really wanted to spend a decent amount of time today talking about the utility of NFTs and how any business, as you mentioned in our first video, any business can implement this. So I want to dive into that.
Yeah, isn't it, your misapprehension of what NFTs are is totally commonplace, Henry. Like, in the beginning, I think, and to this moment, right, I think that there are a lot of people who think about NFTs and they think about it in the way that like Kleenex is tissue paper, like that, like it's become like the brand identity of the space, right? That NFTs represent tradable art. Like it's an art market or something. There's there's another big trend in NFTs now, which is referred to as PFP, which is proof from picture, right? And you alluded last week to the Bored Ape Yacht Club, and I think we also mentioned CryptoPunks and some other ones. There are big NFT collections that are avatars, right? And there's an implication that if you buy into these communities, they come with a value, that having this avatar is like being a part of a super cool club. That part of the marketplace, and also the art part of the marketplace, which I think are really, really overhyped at the moment, I think they're a bubble that's gonna pop, right? And we were talking last week about this, or not last week, on Monday, and I think I might have even said I can't wait for the bubble for the crash to happen, right? Because then we get down to what really is the thing here, which Henry, you referred to utility. And that's what I think, that we're all going to be using NFTs in a way that we're not even going to be thinking about it. It's going to be like the plumbing in your house. You don't spend a lot of time thinking about the pipes and the valves. You just know that when you push the tap open, water comes out, and then it goes down the drain, and you don't have to think about it. I mean, the utility of NFTs as a certificate of authenticity, as a fairly immutable collection of data and code that says that this one is the one, is where utility can be found. So if you imagine all the places that can happen, yes, it can say that this piece of digital art is the piece of digital art. Yes, it could say that this cool avatar belongs to this club, but equally it could say that this deed to this house belongs to you. And so rather than you going to the bank to get a notarization of a deed, you're going to get an NFT minted around the deed. This is just one market vertical. For instance, like the whole business of certifying documents as authentic, whether they're deeds, whether they're wills, whether they're bills of sale when you sell your car, titles, right? all of that is going to move to NFTs because they're beautiful, they're portable, they're very secure, if they're on the correct blockchains, and that's going to be a whole business vertical, right? People thinking about NFTs might never think about that. Like, wait a minute, you mean like I could have a notary business? Like I could become, or you're in the real estate business and you're realizing, oh, wait a minute, this is going to be a new layer. And these are about NFTs that don't have like a collectible value. They're not, this isn't about an NFT marketplace. This is about NFTs serving a very good specific purpose that they're ideally suited to, which is to say, this one is the one. And now open your mind to all the different ways that can be valuable to any kind of business.
Woo. What's up, boys? What's going on, buddy?
How are you, Henry?
I'm doing awesome. Just wanted to, make sure that we said hello before we dove deeper into this conversation.
No, this is certainly a good pickup from what we were talking about on Monday, and I think much of what Bob is discussing right now is it's something that again we were discussing offline exactly what the business what are the use cases for actual businesses. And how is that, again, my question is going to be, and both of our questions need to be around the fact that how is this going to impact their reputation in the long run? Because we're helping them build a brand, well, what needs to be considered around an NFT that impacts brand?
Gosh, that's such a great question. And I think Henry and I just before the broadcast were jamming a little bit about this idea that for NFTs can be minted on different blockchains, right? So when we begin to think about brand impact, you want to think about, is the way that you're visible in the universe consistent with your brand values, right? Or maybe your brand pillars, right? There are places to mint NFTs. For instance, Beeple, we referred to Beeple's piece last week. There's other NFTs that are out there. A lot of these collectible NFTs, like the CryptoPunks and the Bored Ape Yacht Club, they are minted on a blockchain referred to as Ethereum. Now, again, let's recover this. A blockchain is a ledger where your information of a transaction or an interaction gets recorded. How does it get recorded in the blockchain? There are two different principal ways this happens right now. Proof of work, which is that a vast amount of computers all compete working on a particular solve to an algorithm, and whoever gets there first writes the block in the blockchain. But all of that parallel work gets stored there too. And what that adds up to is a lot of computers looked at the same problem at the same time and could certify that all of that calculation happened correctly. Like that's the way. I don't want to get too technical about it. That's a way that a blockchain works. Proof of work, though, has this environmental cost. You have these data centers that are dedicated to blockchains like Ethereum or Bitcoin is another proof of work currency or blockchain. So there's a giant environmental impact. So if you're a company for whom that is an integral part of your branding, you don't want to mint on the Ethereum blockchain because people are going to say, love that you've made an NFT, but at what cost? Instead, though, there are other blockchains. For instance, there's a blockchain called Solana. There's another blockchain called Tezos, right? These are blockchains that use a different form of verifying the data in the blockchain called proof of stake. And in proof of stake, it's a different mechanism. It's where they have some predetermined parties in the blockchain. Usually there are people involved with the blockchain or computer resources for the blockchain. And what they do is they set up, it's a much smaller data crunching operation is what it boils down to. I don't want to confuse people with a lot of the tech, but let's just put it this way. It comes without the environmental cost. Right. So if you're an environmental forward company, and by the way, I hope you all are, right, then you need to be thinking about, oh, I need to take my NFT to this other blockchain because I want to walk the walk here. So that's one version of why, where you mint your NFT has a direct impact and actually relates to your brand and your brand mission.
Yeah. That's very, very important. I'm happy that you brought that up, always, because I was just thinking, it takes a lot of energy to mint these things, right? And if you're an energy conservative, this might not be the right play for you.
You also really have to be careful of the players in the market.
True.
This is a nascent technology. These are nascent marketplaces. And it troubles me to tell all of you that there is a lot of fraud going on right now. Like, for instance, on my Facebook feed, and of course, Facebook understands the things I'm interested in because it's good at that, but every third post on my Facebook feed is an advertisement about the fact that Facebook, aka Meta, is releasing a cryptocurrency and I can buy it now, right? These are all scams. Meta is not releasing a cryptocurrency. All of you watching on Facebook, please know Meta is not releasing a cryptocurrency at this time, right? So don't get taken in by the scam. The space, the way you transact in the space is a little complicated right now because it's nascent. These are all bumps that are going to get worked out. But the fact is that you could be a legit player in the space. For instance, there are a few big, very famous artists, very famous celebrities who have gone into the space to make an NFT play or to maybe do a tokenized community and have become part of fraudulent actors, because it's very difficult in the space right now to know who's legit and who's not legit. And people are working very hard to confuse themselves with legit. Like, the people doing these frauds are sophisticated. So it means if you are a brand interested in going into this space, it's kind of critical that you do the due diligence to find a company. And this is not a shill for Meta Mode, but I'm just saying we have, for instance, set out to say, look, we have been in the branding space, the event space, the community building space, and the tech space for 25 years. We're not going to show up and pull a fraud with your audience. So, and there are others like MetaMode. So, but it means if you're a brand, you have to be with the right partners to work in the metaverse and do your plays so that you don't end up becoming part of a fraud situation, and then your brand suffers a hit. And there are some celebrities, very famous reality television family type celebrities who have unfortunately gotten involved in a fraudulent NFT play because it's just so hard to know who you were doing business with. So it's a thing that's another brand impact. You really have to be careful right now in the space to make sure that you're partnering with the right people.
Very, very important.
Yeah, it all translates to trust and confidence, right? At the end of the day, that's the name of the game when we're trying to sell either a product or when we're trying to sell a specific NFT. And I mean, just like you mentioned, I mean, really, all this is on the utility side is a unique identifier that authenticates either a specific transaction or authenticates a specific entity. So yeah, I mean, trust is probably the most important aspect of this entire thing.
It's funny. It took me so long to get into the crypto space because of the word crypto. Crypt sounds scary to me.
Or you picture it's like $1 million, it's cryptocurrency, like there's a bomb. We're going to launch our cryptocurrency, I also don't like that word as well. I talk about, for instance, tokenomics, which is which is a combines the word economics with tokens, and other people use that word as well. Yeah, I don't think that the semantic does the sector any favors.
Yeah. I was telling Bob offline before we went live today that I was doing some research on this topic last night and this morning. And Gary Vee seems to be like kind of my go-to guy for this stuff for now. I know there's other people that are way more sophisticated in this space than him. But I'm going to him for now because he's easily accessible, I guess. And I guess he did an interview with CNN, and CNN report the anchor was saying, why should why should people get involved in NFTs and things like that, right? And he talked straight to the pushback that some people have about this, and he said, you know, this reminds me of the early internet days when I was about to start selling wine on an internet. They said, why would I buy it on the internet when I could just go to the store and buy it? Well, it's the same sort of argument today. And he said, let's take, for example, a pizza shop. And this is where my head started to like, smoke started to come out of my ears in a good way, because my wheels started turning 1,000 RPMs, 5,000 RPMs. He said, Joey's Pizza can mint an NFT as a coupon, right? But that coupon is only available Monday through Friday, right? Or Monday through Thursday. They go and mint another coupon that's only available through Friday through Sunday. Now, granted, people have more parties on the weekends. There's sporting events on the weekends, That NFT is a little bit more money, but it's a little bit more exclusive and it has a much more perk to it. And now what happens is there's only so many of these coupons out there. So now what happens is people that own the coupon starts selling their coupons to other neighborhoods.
You get coupon arbitrage, right?
Right. And then every time one of those coupons gets sold, depending on how you work out your NFT royalty, you could get paid anywhere from 5 to 10 to 15 to 20% on every time that sale occurs back to the restaurant, back to your pizza shop. My head started to spin when I heard this, because I said, holy moly, that's a pizza shop. Who the hell would ever think to do that as a pizza shop?
Well, and let me take that like a step further, because a pizza shop, and you're still talking about like very transactional things like money and maybe after the fact money or aftermarket money for the pizza shop, all of which, by the way, is super awesome and unlocks new ways that revenue streams can happen for that pizza shop. But that persistent digital connection, right? Like, so for instance, if we look at the nonprofit market, like let's look at, for instance, like the example of like diversity supply. A lot of brands have an implicit or explicit mission to source or find suppliers for their needs for goods and services that come from women-owned businesses or come from minority-owned businesses or veteran-owned businesses, right? So there's a whole ecosystem out there of diversity supply that exists in the United States and really globally. And right now, one of the big challenges in diversity supply is, there's many challenges to it, but some of them are, how do you communicate your credibility? How do you demonstrate in a provable way that you are a 100% woman-owned business and that a woman's running the business or a veteran is running the business and not someone else? It's not just in name only. Moreover, for the brands participating in that space, how can you know if a particular supplier from this diversity ecosystem has a particular certification or skill that you need in your brand marketplace? This is a case study for where NFTs could be incredibly valuable. If you're in the diversity supply ecosystem as a veteran-owned business or a woman-owned business, minority-owned business, you might be issued by the national enterprise organization for that particular, diversity sector, an NFT that says, yes, your business is 100% owned by a woman. And because that NFT, through its smart contract, its code, can be connected to other items of information or even other NFTs, that NFT then suddenly becomes like your credentials display. You might, for instance, if you get certified as a business that can do business with a critical enterprise, like an infrastructure enterprise, because you've gone through a certified disaster preparedness course, right? You could be granted an NFT that is the certification. It says authentic. Yes, you are certified in this. And that NFT gets attached to your diversity supply identity NFT. And then stack it from there. Suddenly, this ecosystem could have a way where if you're a brand, it's very easy to see through sorting and looking at the various people because it's all transparent on the blockchain too. A brand can do a targeted search and say, I want to find a woman-owned business who is certified in cybersecurity, has a SOC 2 security thing, and who also has an NFT indicating that they have already worked for another equal enterprise to my enterprise. They could go out and find exactly that person, and vice versa. That person could find the brand looking for exactly that thing. These NFTs have no value, like we would never trade them or sell them on a marketplace, but as pieces of code that say this is authentic, right? Suddenly they become an informational ecosystem. They become plumbing that makes something that gives it gives it provenance, right?
Yeah. It sounds like very similar to many of the websites that we would go to today, and you see all of these different badges. Whether it's the Inc. 5000 badge, whether it's the women-owned business or Better Business Bureau, badges on end to what association, to what certification you belong to, awards that you've won, and perhaps what you're alluding to now is, well, how do you certify the how do you certify the authenticity of all of that? You're just seeing it, but for some of them, they don't really link back to something that authenticates it in one way or the other. And over here, what you're saying is that each and every single one of these components are now going to be authenticated with some verifiable data. And now you can go into some sort of a database and say, I want this, 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 and this. And now you have search results that show up.
It's true. And Amy just nailed it in the chat. She said credibility, which is spot on. Credibility. And you're right. People show up like in Zoom with all these badges. And here is yet another way. It's like, well, do you really, did you really win the MasterCard, slingshot program for new entrepreneurs and you got the badge? Do I really know that? Could you have right-clicked on that badge and just downloaded it somewhere and put it there? Well, now, now there will be a mechanism, and this is going to happen where I click on the badge and immediately I can see through the certificate. There are apps that you can use to look at NFT transactions and NFTs and know that that is the NFT. They're kind of authenticators, right? So I could click on that badge and it's going to take me to the certificate, right? Because the NFT is wired to it. Otherwise, I'm going to know, oh, you kind of put a badge on there, but I see you haven't backed it yet with your NFT. How do I know you're credible?
Yeah, what I'm also seeing NFTs being used for is access.
Yes.
You're in the event space, Bob. So I wanted you to highlight this a little bit. Where do you see NFTs going for, like, in the ticket space?
Oh, well, it's, here's what's amazing about the ticket space. People were already experimenting with it, but there's actually a code protocol for a specific kind of NFT, which is called a POAP, Proof of Attendance Protocol, right? So this is an NFT tailor-made to be a ticket, and not only to be a ticket that grants you admission to something, but to be a ticket that can then allow you access to certain upsells at an event, that can allow you access to post-event engagement. So for instance, let's say that I was going to issue POAP tickets for an artist residency in Vegas, right? If you have that proof of attendance protocol NFT, now that NFT might enable you as one of the 2,000 people who attended, J-Lo's performance at Caesars on January 26th. You can now get an NFT that is the live recordings to that show. And it is limited only to the people who hold the POAP tickets to that show, right? So it's a way for you to, and now that creates an aftermarket for them too. You're going to start to see it's like suddenly what happens in the Grateful Dead ecosystem happens in every artist ecosystem, right? Where they all start trading tapes, so to speak, right? So it's
collectibles.
Yeah,
exactly. That's an example. So that proof of attendance protocol is actually tailor-made to give you a little engine that proves that people came to an event, that they were at an event. It can give them superpowers at that event, depending on what you build into it, access to the VIP areas, discounts on drinks, depending on what tier of seating or ticket you bought, access to specific areas, maybe VIP experiences. And then again, that persistent connection, which leads to the after event opportunities. Come to another one. Here's an exclusive thing you can get because you and only you were at this event with these other 500 people, it then becomes the gateway to a much bigger ecosystem of communicating with that audience and turning that audience into community, right? Which is not an audience shows up once, a community shows up every day, right? So that POAP NFT becomes a way that you can off-ramp the audience from that night into a community that is gathering all the time to express their enthusiasm, to buy things, to talk, to trade things, and to interact.
And these NFTs can be designed in any which way, right? Like I noticed that a video could be an NFT, a static image could be an NFT. I'm seeing a lot of static image, and I'm seeing like GIFs now being NFTs,
which is the trend, right?
3D.
Like,
yeah.
What'd you say, always?
I was gonna say even 3D objects.
Right. Yeah. Also 3D objects. Right. And I think that this is a trend. It's like just a digital file, usually pictorial, whether it's animation or a JPEG or something, a picture, an animation, a GIF. Right. This is the current market bubble. Right. This is the hype that's happening now. And I think here's my prediction. And again, I want to make clear that I am not a financial advisor. I don't give financial advice. This is not a financial advice situation. But I want to say this. The hype around them and the value being generated around them, 2022 in the NFT marketplace will be the year of music. We will see every artist releasing tracks, bonus tracks, live recordings, all kinds of ancillary materials around their music and experience and getting to connect with them. 2022 will be the year of the music NFT. And it will be the thing that gets hyped this year. Now, all these other things we're talking about with utility, they're coming behind it. They're going to happen. They're happening. And the people that get on front of that with their business models, they're going to be right there, both in terms of being there for innovation and being there for the revenue that's going to come from that. But this year is going to be about music NFTs. You are going to see just straight up music tracks dropped. You are going to see people doing like what Nas did and Timbaland did, where they released not just the tracks, but what are called the stems, right? So the individual, the bass recording, the guitar recording, the drum recording, and they're going to invite, as Nas and Timbaland did, their audiences to remix those tracks. And we know that like remix culture and like the mixtape culture is so huge, especially in the hip hop sector, that I also predict that will bleed out into the other forms of music. We're going to see a really vigorous mixtape culture that comes from musicians saying, "Hey, buy the track, play with the track, share the track, or sell the track to your friends." They're going to get to participate in that increased revenue or the increased reach, right? And I think we're going to see it's kind of like a Napster moment for the music industry. This is a similar giant pivot moment where we're going to see big established players crumble and go. We're going to see brand new players that we've never seen before shoot to dominance. Like the streaming services are all going to have to figure this out. You're going to see the streaming services moving towards some kind of NFT mechanism behind what they're doing, right? The Spotify's, you will see this happening. You will see artists start to pull out of the big established sort of distribution channels and doing it themselves now, because now they can control their own revenue and their own distribution and the rights to what happens to that stuff after they put it out into the universe via the smart contract. I think this is going to be this is a giant pivotal moment for music.
So just like anything else, I mean, just like, you know, with cryptocurrency, they were saying that, hey, look, this is going to become, or this is the beginning of decentralization of money. What you're essentially saying is that even with music, this is starting to, or this has been happening, but now this is going to be that catalyst.
And in any way that it will be centralized, it will be centralized by companies that very smartly come out with the ideal application or really friction-free channel that artists could pile in and utilize. Because not every artist wants to be a developer. Not every artist wants to go down the road of figuring out how to find trustworthy people to write the smart contracts. So in the same way, yes, things are going to get decentralized. And you will see certain artists who are extremely tech savvy taking it from A to Z. They've got both hands on the wheel. They're doing everything. But you're going to see other big, what we would categorize as centralized companies and sort of industry spawning up just to make it easier for artists or to bring more artists together. You'll see artists starting to band together in a similar place or in the same place so that they can share marketing, visibility, assets. You know, it's you know, one could imagine there being like music demographics sort of segmentation a little bit. You might find, you know, very hip hop focused marketplaces, very jam band focused marketplaces, very pop focused marketplaces. So yes, all that was a long ass way for me to say decentralization, yes, but there's also going to be centralization because it's going to take away friction. It's going to increase security. Right, it's going to make it more accessible.
Yeah,
so governance still needs to be involved.
Absolutely. And look, this whole conversation we've talked multiple times about the fraud and the uncertainty in the space. It's nascent, and there are some videos out there that are terrifying that you could watch on YouTube, which would maybe seem to tell you that cryptocurrency and NFTs and all of this, the blockchain space, is built for criminals. It's all a pyramid scheme, and that it's all a scam on a scam on a scam. It is not. Like any nascent place. When the internet was invented, there were people who jumped into the space because people didn't understand it and because there wasn't really any sort of, it was the Wild West. Fraud happened. Yeah. You know, when e-commerce started to happen, fraud happened. You know, when credit cards started to get into the hands of normal consumers back in the 80s, fraud happened. You know, so now blockchain is new. There's a lot to be worked out. It's going to get worked out. You know, big brands like Nike don't dump $1 billion into NFT plays, or Budweiser or Coke, or like they are doing like 8-9 figure spends around metaverse strategies. Durable, that this stuff is going to work out and that this is here to stay.
Yeah, this is the adoption of the NFT and cryptocurrency this year, I think, is going to be a game changer. It's definitely going to be. And I'm so finally, guys, 1 year out of 41 years of my life, I feel like I got in at the right time.
I believe it. And look, I'm wrong about all kinds of things all the time. I truly think that this is like the moment when Bill Gates and Paul Allen went and pitched their BASIC to the Altair computer. This is like the moment that Mark Andreessen invented the web browser. This is that kind of moment. People are going to make giant fortunes. They're going to create new businesses. They're going to come up with whole new modalities of communication and entertainment and education. I mean, this is just fundamental. It's one of these things that's like fundamental, ground up new way, opportunity, market. So sure, there's going to be fraud, but there's also going to be people who had a lawn mowing business last summer and are going to be next year's billionaire.
Yeah. It sounds crazy, but
well,
it's
so look,
true.
Yeah. And, well, Bob, you mentioned this earlier. You know, the businesses that get ahead of this wave are going to be the ones that flourish, and they're going to be they're going to be the ones that dominate the market. Well, so today, what can Henry and I take to our clients and say, look, this is something to consider. It's not just about JPEGs being sold on the marketplace. There's some real utilization to this. And this is how we need to start thinking about it. And how can we use this as something that they can monetize on?
It's a great question.
For no other reason, if for no other reason than this, an NFT is a permanent digital connection to that consumer, that client, you know, that buyer of your goods and services. You now have digital plumbing to them, right? And down that pipe, you can send new offers. You can measure what they're up to. And by the way, this is a pipe you own. So you own the data. So rather than you know, existing in a social media ecosystem where Facebook owns the data, or, you know, Alphabet owns the data. This is a place where you can build a marketplace. You can build persistent connections to your audience or to your consumers, and you can use those connections to keep them engaged, to keep them learning, entertained, buying, you know, interested, and if nothing else, aware. Right? You can keep your business visible. So, you know, if for no other reason, why should people be thinking about how they're going to integrate NFTs? It's because of this. Connect to your audience, own your audience, and turn that audience into a community. You know, that's how a business scales. That's how you go from
and just
up quarter, down quarter to hockey sticking.
That's right. And just so they can hear from you, what's the cost of inaction if they don't start right now?
You know, it's so hard to project forward and calculate that. I'd rather than saying what the cost of inaction would be, it's maybe better to say what will be the bump to your revenues because you've done it, right? Because you're out there. Because, you know, big brands, if you're a company that services bigger companies, those bigger companies are already looking at this, and they're confused. Right? They need their programs to be showing up with clarity about how they're going to put this tech to work for them. If you're a company that services individual high performers, you know, whether you're servicing athletes or you're servicing, you know, all-star accountant CFOs, or these folks are going to need the credibility that comes with the utility of NFTs. And you being out ahead of it means that that's a box you got checked, right? You're showing up with a means for authenticity. You're showing up with a means for connection. You're showing up with a means to take a business model that your clients have or that your audience has that may be based on doing things in real life, and you are going to double that opportunity, double that marketplace into the digital realm as well. We're all living more digitally, not less, you know. The pandemic has become kind of endemic, right? It's a lot of ambiguity. We're starting to get out a little bit, but we're also staying inside as much, right? Like, what I'm saying is this: our digital lives are not going to shrink in the future, right? And this is the way that digital transaction, digital credibility, digital trust, and the digital record are going to be kept. So if you're not there already, you're going to need to be there. And I think that right now, it's a little bit cheaper to get there. And it's also the right time to show up with a value that will go away. After a while, people will be used to it. They will be familiar with it, you know. But right now, if you're a business person, you have an opportunity to introduce it, to become a market leader in the application of it, to be there first, you know, to be the marketing company that's already talking about it, or the merchandise company that's already talking about it, or the supply company that's already talking about it. Because a lot of people know about it, but so many are not aware of all the ways it's going to be useful, of all the ways that it's really going to blow things up in the best possible way. And if you're out there saying, yeah, we're a great marketing company, and we bring that credibility to introducing you to this space, like I mentioned before, you know, there are brands, there are people that have gone terribly sideways because they've gotten with the wrong people. If you're out there with a business that has credibility, or if you're an entrepreneur out there operating and you've got credibility, you're now and you go get the knowledge you need to apply this stuff Now you're bringing that credibility, you're matching it to that knowledge, and you're creating opportunity.
That's well said, Bob. That's why I love having you on the show. That was really well said. And
Love it.
If I were to say anything, I would say this. This is just one video of many that are out there. What I would do is I would go out and do some more research on NFT utility, and start to get familiar with terms like Ethereum, like OpenSea, the platform OpenSea, and I think there was, what is it, Rarible?
Rarible's another one, Ultra Rare is another one, Foundation's another one. There are dozens and dozens of NFT marketplaces. We could have a whole episode, Henry, just about marketplaces.
We could.
Yeah,
We could.
some
I was just trying to,
marketplaces.
I wanted to give them some of the more popular ones, and start to understand how they work. There's so many videos out there. How to mint an NFT in 12 minutes, and how to do this and how to do that. Like, I would spend, guys, I'm not kidding. Like Gary says, 50 hours on this stuff. Like, that's like minimum, I think, before you actually get comfortable enough with it. Right.
Yeah.
I don't need to spend
Good
50 hours
understanding,
on something. But the more I learn, like, Oasis knows, I got into the crypto space not too long ago, and I got to tell you, my portfolio is looking pretty good right now, regardless of the dip.
Then that's pretty good, dude, because holy moly, crypto had a bad.
Oh my God. Like that was, I said, you know what?
This is the time.
Not that I even
Buy the dip, baby. Buy the dip.
That was it. I said, you know what?
Yeah.
If I don't go in now, I am going to be kicking myself in the butt. It could be 7 days from now. It could be 7 months from now, but get now.
And that's no lie. And even if you're not into cryptocurrency, but you are maybe into the collectible NFT market, the depression in crypto prices right now mean that NFTs are cheaper than they've ever been.
Exactly.
Right? So if you are into collecting, you better be collecting your butt off right now.
It's an incredible time to get into this space. And you will hear more about
the moment of opportunity.
Yeah, NFTs, and as I learn more about it, I'm going to start talking about it more, of course, and we'll obviously have Bob back and have him share with us some of the stuff he's doing in the event space and how these bigger brands are leveraging NFTs. And then you listen to us and say, all right, I could leverage that idea. I could take that concept and run with it and make it my own. So if anything that you get at all today from this video is continue your education, because this stuff isn't going anywhere. It's only going to get more progressive. It's only going to get more popular. And the quicker you can get to market with this stuff, like Bob said earlier, the quicker you're going to see some great return. And I'll leave it at that.
And Henry, if you'll forgive me for an outright shill, one of the things MetaMode does is working with companies, enterprise level, entertainment companies, really companies of all kinds, from major utilities to cruise lines. We're working with companies to work out their NFT strategy and execution in this unsure marketplace. So metamode.agency is where you can find out more about that. And you could get connected with us and we can help, whether it's just a consultation to vet your model, or whether it's like you want to do something and you need somebody to take you from the page to the stage. We can take you that way too.
Awesome. Bob, thank you so much for spending almost 45 minutes with us today and sharing this information with us. I've learned a lot.
It's always great to be with you guys. And you both know that I show up in the comment thread from time to time. I love the show because Henry, you bring truth. You're bringing authentically good knowledge. I never watch you two and come away thinking they're trying to sell me something. I always come away saying I just learned something. So thank you for having me.
Oh, thanks.
I'm happy
a lot,
to hear
Bob.
that.
That means a lot.
Thanks,
that
Bob.
means a lot. So guys, there you have it. How to use NFTs for your business. Get out there, do some more research, do some more homework, start to think outside the box. How can you leverage this technology in your business? I'm telling you, you will thank us months from now when you figure it out, because it is going to be a game changer. So last but not least, guys, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you subscribe, hit that little bell button to make sure that we show up for you every Monday and Wednesday, 2 p.m. Eastern. We do this show live. Come participate. We would love to have you part of the show. I see Amy Tymeyer was here today. Thanks again, Amy, for watching. And for everybody, Facebook, Twitter. Now we're on LinkedIn. Welcome, LinkedIn folks. Yeah. Super pumped to have you guys part of the show now. So have an amazing day, guys, and we'll catch you on Monday. Take care.